Hi, ladies and gents. Welcome to episode 27 of the Deu Awuok Show, where it is my job to interview professional and collegiate soccer players about their life journeys around the beautiful game. On this episode, I speak with JD Gunn, a professional soccer player for the New York Revolutions as well as for the Panama national team. Amongst other things, we talk about his experience growing up in Panama and getting to represent that country on both the international stage for soccer and basketball, where he played against the likes of Tyrese Maxey at the youth level. We also discuss his unconventional path to professional soccer, starting out at the D2 school, then transitioning to D1, and then signing a professional contract with MLS team, and then signing his first team contract this year. JD is also awaiting a potential phone call from the Panama national team to represent them at the upcoming World Cup. Really enjoy this very engaging and thoughtful conversation with a very interesting guest. And I hope you do too. JD, welcome to the pod. Thanks for joining me, Amrano.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm excited to have this conversation on a couple of different fronts. One, as a player, right, you have a very unconventional story, going from D1 to then D2, MLS NEXT Pro, and then recently signing professional first team, as well as a person, right? You grew up in Panama, Panamanian American, represent your country at both the international stage for soccer and basketball. So really excited to dig in here. But I guess before we get into that, it would be helpful to hear about your background and how you think of yourself as a person.
Yeah, like you said, I grew up in Panama. I was born and raised there, so I had a unique experience being born and raised overseas. Not a lot of people get that opportunity, so something I'm very blessed to have happen for me, and something that I obviously look fondly upon. And I love that I had the opportunity to grow up somewhere else, to just be in a different type of culture, to experience the world. Because honestly, the outside the U.S., the life is a lot different for most people. So just a blessing to see that from an early age, and then now it just gives me a different perspective on life in general. So I would say I'm pretty cultured, I guess is the right word, just because I've been around a lot of different people and different countries and stuff. So yeah, I mean, again, growing up in a different country will do that for you.
It's amazing, man, and it's funny. I remember when we played soccer game, and we had that little fight with the other team who were Hispanic, and you just
hmm
came in and you started speaking Spanish to them and trying to calm things down, which was pretty cool. I'm sure they were surprised to see this, blonde, blue-eyed guy speak Spanish fluently.
Yeah, I mean that always surprises people when they see me speaking Spanish, because it's not what you would expect. So yeah, it's always funny seeing people's reactions when I start speaking Spanish. It's always a funny thing for me.
Yeah, I had that reaction. I guess let's go back to the origin story of how you became a goalkeeper, right? I think you mentioned being thrown into the net and then just not looking back from there. For me, I think I played goalie once. I think I was around the same age as you, where we were just having practice. There was no keeper, so I was like, "I'll do it." Why not? And I had the worst experience ever. It was like scary as fuck, bro. Like elbows are flying around, legs are being thrown around. I was like, I'm never doing this again. But for some reason, I think you enjoyed it and wanted to keep doing it. So maybe walk us back to that origin story and how you became a goalkeeper. What made you want to stay in that position?
The common saying is, to be a goalkeeper, you got to be a little crazy or have a little some issues in the head. So I think that's probably true, just considering the fact that if you're throwing yourself in front of a ball, like to get hit in the face and stuff, I mean, you got to be a little crazy to do that. But yeah, no. So I mean, I was first put in goal per se. I think I was 12 or 13 years old. I went to a really small like international school in Panama, and my two best friends were both soccer players, and we didn't have a goalie for our U14 team or whatever it was. And they're like, "Hey, you play basketball? You should be good with your hands. Like, come play soccer, come play goalie." I was like, "Okay, why not?" It was like in the off season for basketball, so I wasn't playing basketball with my team at the time. It's like, okay, it'd be fun, play soccer, do something different. And yeah, I mean, I honestly just fell in love with it from the start. I think for me, like even in basketball, one of the things I always loved was playing defense and getting a stop on like the other team's best player, or getting a block or a steal or something. So in a way, goalkeeping is similar to that. Your job is to keep people from scoring. And so I think for me, it just kind of was a natural transition, to step into a role where I took the responsibility to try and stop the best players on the other team, maybe in a little bit different type of role than I would in basketball. But I think, yeah, just that mentality of like, you're not going to beat me. I am going to do everything possible to make sure you don't get what you want. I think, I don't know, just something about that, and like seeing the feeling of like seeing a striker like oh dang, I didn't score, like their depression after not scoring, like I don't know, that fueled me.
That's amazing. I think you guys have the hardest position. I mean, mentally, when you think about, there's no room for error, right? Like one mistake and it's a goal, right? Like, a striker could miss a goal, could make a bad pass here and there, and that's fine. A midfielder could do the same thing, but as a keeper, one bad, error and like causes you a goal, and that, like, I think psychologically it's hard. And as you become a professional, I'm sure it plays on you a little bit. So maybe talk about that aspect of the game of, like, having been mentally focused, but also having to come back quickly from setbacks and mistakes.
Yeah, obviously the mental side, I think in any sport, but most specifically for a goalkeeper is massive. Because like you're saying, if you make a mistake, usually that is something that leads to a goal. And in a game like football or soccer where it could be a one goal game, like that could be the reason you lose a game. So yeah, mentally it's super tough. I mean, I think you have to be able to move on from your mistakes right after they happen, because if you linger on that feeling and if you think about it too much, you don't want to have another mistake happen. So yeah, it sucks. I mean, like nobody likes to make mistakes, and the unfortunate part of being a goalkeeper is if you make a mistake, it's usually costly. But I think for me personally, like I enjoy the pressure of having that kind of pressure on me where it's so high and intense. I think it elevates me to a certain level. So for me, I mean, I've made mistakes in my career, but from what I can remember at least, I haven't let it affect me. And, I don't think I would be here now if that wasn't the case, because I think to play goalkeeper at a high level, you need to be able to forgive yourself and forget about the mistake and move on and make the next play. Because if you don't, again, like I said, if you get mistake after mistake after mistake, you're not going to make it far. So, yeah, again, I think that mentality part of it is massive, and it's something that we, like a lot of teams now, especially have like a psychologist or whatever. You can work with a sports psychologist that helps with that kind of thing. But I think some people naturally have a inclination to deal with pressure in a certain way, which I feel like I have, and I think that is, yeah, super beneficial for me in being a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I can imagine, given your unconventional story, going from where you went a couple years ago to now, signing your first team professional contract. It comes down to that mental side. And I think that was one of the things I struggled with in college, where I would make a mistake and I would dwell on that mistake, and then the ball comes back and I'm still thinking about that mistake, and now I make a next mistake, and it becomes this like vicious cycle that, like, kind of gets hard to get out of it. But I could only imagine as a keeper, like, that's even exasperated. I guess taking a step back and going back to basketball, you recently went viral because obviously you got called up to the national team for Panama, but you also representing your country at the youth level for basketball. You played in the FIBA U18 championships, where not only did you play, but you led the team in points and rebounds. Played against the likes of Tyrese Maxey and other players who've gone on to play the NBA. What was that experience like? Maybe go back and talk about that tournament.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, at that point, I had been playing for the national team for basketball for about 5 years, I believe. So, I hadn't played against players as good as that US team up until that point. But I was used to, again, like the pressure of performing for your country. But yeah, no, that tournament was something special. Obviously, like you mentioned, played against guys who are now playing in the NBA, either like an all-star or, something close to that level. So I think for me that was the tournament where I realized, like, yeah, I'm good at basketball, but probably not that good. So maybe time for a career change. But no, I mean, again, to represent your country in any way, I think is something special. And for me to be able to have done it in both basketball and soccer is something that I am, super proud of, and something that I will remember and take with me the rest of my life. It's an honor for me to represent Panama. I think when you look at me again, like I don't look like a Panamanian. I come from an American family, but for me, I have always cherished and loved playing for Panama. Like I wouldn't have it any other way. That's home for me, and like that's where I feel like I belong. So again, to be able to play basketball and then now soccer for Panama is something that I dreamed of, and something that I am super super proud of.
That's amazing, man. And you mentioned being Panamanian American. I guess, what was that experience like growing up there, right? As obviously looking the way you do, not necessarily fitting in with the typical Panamanian person. What was that experience like for you? And I guess, what did it teach you about navigating life and sports generally?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't look Panamanian at all. So, and when I was playing basketball growing up, like those leagues, they're, let's just say they're a little corrupt. So growing up, my mom was always like, talking to the refs, like in her broken Spanish, because she doesn't speak great Spanish, but talking to the refs, like, hey, he's Panamanian. Like one day he could be playing for your country, and so like you just remember that. And funny enough, like 2 years after that, I ended up, getting my first call up to the national team for basketball. So it's just funny because how things changed after that, like the way I was treated, like, oh, you're actually one of us. So, but no, I mean, it was great. Like growing up in Panama again, like for the most part, the people in Panama are incredible people, super friendly, and everything's about family. Whether it's blood or someone that you see as a friend, but in Panama, it's everybody's tío or tía, so it's like aunt or uncle, even if they're not blood related. So I think for me, like especially after I started playing with the national team and running in circles that maybe I hadn't been before, like I just it felt like family, it felt like home again. I go back to that, and yeah, I mean that experience itself, especially after that first call up, like when people started seeing me as one of them, like as a Panamanian, I think that kind of changed the rest of my upbringing there because people felt like I actually was one of them. Whereas before, maybe it was like, yeah, he might be, but we're not totally sure about him. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, but no, it's great, and like I said, the people of Panama are amazing people. So
That's awesome, man. And I think you moved to the US when you were 15,
yeah.
and then spent your high school here, went to college here, and now play professional here in Boston. What was that experience coming back to the US and then having to go to high school there? Because you obviously grew up in Panama.
Yeah, so I mean, it was tough because, growing up, since I have a lot of family in the U.S., I had visited the U.S. like during the summer or like Christmas or something. So
Yeah.
I knew what the U.S. was like. I had been here multiple times, but to go live and like go to school and everything, because my parents stayed in Panama, so I moved by myself to live with my aunt and uncle.
Mm,
So at first it was very hard, obviously leaving home when you're 15. Uh, it's not a normal thing to do for most people. So
yep.
those first 6 to 8 months were pretty tough, but thankfully, I think with sports, it's amazing how fast you can form relationships and form friendships, and be part of a family. So thankfully, between soccer and basketball, I met some really good guys and have guys that I'm still friends with today from high school. um, yeah, so that really helps. I think just the sports world is very small, and you kind of like have to be best friends. So but it always works out, I feel like. um, but yeah, no, it was a good experience though. I think for me at the time, it made the most sense for me to move to the States, because I kind of like outgrew the competition in Panama, because it's just such a
Mm,
small country, and the coaching and stuff, and there really wasn't like opportunity to be scouted by colleges in the US,
yep.
being in Panama. So between myself and my parents, we thought it was the right decision for me to make that move and to try and go into a bigger pond and see if I could still cut it. So I think without that, I probably wouldn't have been able to get to the point that I'm at now, just because I don't think I would have been seen and had the opportunities. So yeah, it was good. It was a great move.
I can imagine, leaving your family behind, your whole life behind to come to America at that young age was tough and you had to deal with certain things. But looking back now, I'm sure it's shaped who you are and it's helped get you where you are today, which it sounds like. I guess talk to us about your high school experience and then when you were recruiting for college, right? Did you just focus on soccer or did you also consider playing basketball in college as well? And how did you think through those decisions?
Why I moved was it was for basketball. And so, like throughout all of high school, I was playing high school basketball and then like travel basketball, AAU, and then I was playing high school soccer, but that was it. Like I didn't play club or like anything like that. So by the time my senior year came around, was undecided. I was like, I really like soccer now. Like I've been enjoying it. Like my team's good. I've been doing really well, getting personal accolades and stuff like that. And my high school soccer coach was an amazing coach, and he was like, hey, I really think you should think about trying soccer at the next level. I think you have a future in it. And so by the time senior year came around, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And then yeah, like towards the end of my senior year, I wasn't really recruited at all for soccer. I had a few like small NAIA and D3 schools,
Yeah.
but no D1 offers or anything like that. So I went to Biola University, which is in California, and did like a tryout basically. And probably like 30 minutes into it, I hurt my shoulder. So like they barely even saw me
Oh,
play. Um, and then I ended up going there as basically like a preferred walk on. Um, and then I redshirted my freshman year, didn't play at all. Going into sophomore year, like I wasn't the starter again. I was the number two at that point, and the guy that was playing in front of me played like the first three games, didn't do well, and then I got my chance and did really well. And then from there, the next 3 years, I played at my D2 Biola, and won all conference, like goalkeeper of the year. Went to the national tournament twice, and then from there, I decided I thought it would be best for me to transfer for my last year of eligibility to a Division 1 school, just to be seen more by scouts, because unfortunately it's still, I think, the way it is a little bit. If the higher level you play, the more eyes are going to be watching. Even though like my D2 in California, like we played at a high level, and honestly D2 California schools are all really really good, so it was great competition. Just again, it's Division 2 compared to Division 1. So transferred to University of Memphis. I wasn't the starter again at first. I had to wait my turn, but then when I got my turn, like I did really well, and again had a really good season. And then from there, one of my assistants at Memphis had a connection with the goalkeeper coach at New England Revolution 2. And so the goalkeeper coach there was asking him like, who is this kid? Like, I've never heard of him before. And then yeah, and then I went there, did a 2 week trial, then got signed to the second team, and then played 2 years there, and then now signed to the first team. So crazy roller coaster of a ride.
that's amazing, bro. And what I really like about your story is because when you think about a lot of high schoolers, they're told like if you're not committing to a top Power Five school at the D1 level, you have no chance of going professional, right? And it's this story kind of goes to show that like everybody's story is unique. You don't have to go that path. And what I really like, I was doing research obviously on your bio, and you had mentioned when you were at Biola that you wanted to play professional, which is again a lot of people won't have the confidence to say that out loud, right? And I think it goes back to your mindset and the confidence you have in yourself. I guess what advice do you have for those that are maybe playing D3, D2, and maybe D1 at a smaller school that maybe want to go professional? What advice would you give them to like kind of help them think through that?
I would say, especially now with the way the transfer portal works, if you go to a D2, for example, out of high school, like if you go there and you do really well, you can still transfer to a Division 1 school, and you can still play at a higher level. So I think now, especially, the most important thing is for you to go somewhere where you're going to play and back yourself to play well. And then if you want to change and try somewhere that's better, for example, you enter the portal, and I'm sure there will be opportunities if your numbers speak for themselves. So you just have to be able to back yourself, because at the end of the day, without that self belief, without the confidence in yourself to accomplish what you want to accomplish, it's probably not going to happen. So stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something difficult.
That's amazing advice, and I think that's how you should approach it. And it's such that mindset. Pivoting a little bit to the professional, your goalkeeper coach, Kevin Hitchcock, recently said that you remind him of Matt Turner, who's your current goalkeeper. You guys are obviously goalkeepers at the Revs. I guess what are your thoughts on that comparison? And then, like, what is it like playing and training with him every day?
To be compared to a goalkeeper of his caliber is obviously pretty high praise. So I think it's great for him to say that. But now I need to keep showing that I have what it takes to reach the level he's made it to. So I think again, like to be have that comparison is an honor for me, and it's something that is amazing to hear. But to be honest, like I haven't really accomplished anything yet so much in my career. And so like for me, I see what he's done, and I want to try and emulate that, like I want to try and accomplish the things that he's accomplished. And so it's a great like pivoting into having him here training with me every day, like seeing how he trains and seeing his mentality and everything. It's a good reference for me to see, and to again to try and not copy, but to try and do it my own way, but at the same time see like how he carries himself, and try to put that into my own game. So yeah, again, I'm super flattered by the comparison, and the comments that our coach Hitchy said. And again, at the end of the day, like if I can accomplish what he's accomplished in his career, like I'll be satisfied because I think he's had an amazing career and I still think he's got a lot left to give. So we'll see how the next few years go for him. But again, if I can accomplish that, then I think I'll be pretty happy with the career I've had.
Yeah, you guys are definitely on a similar arc. I think Matt obviously started at the Division 1 level and at a smaller school, and then he went on to play MLS, the Prem, and now he's representing the U.S. national team. You had a similar arc in that you started D2, then D1, played MLS NEXT Pro, and then now playing MLS level, and then were recently called up to the Panamanian national team. You made your debut against Mexico earlier this year on January 22nd. Take us back to that experience and what it was like to represent your country, the international stage, and then representing Panama for the second time, having represented him at the youth level for basketball as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said before, being able to represent your country in anything is a super proud moment. So for me, to be able to play for Panama in two different sports respectively is something that is incredible and something I'm super proud of. And that experience itself, like playing at home in front of the home fans in like our home stadium, I honestly like it's indescribable. I can't explain the feelings that I had. Like I'm not really an emotional person, but like when we were singing the anthem and stuff, like I was like, man, I'm about to cry. Like this is amazing. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, again, so many people come to watch us and support us, and however well the national team is doing is how happy people are. So if we're doing poorly, people are not as happy. But if we're doing well and we're winning games, people are so happy. Like that's people go to watch the games to feel that excitement and to feel that passion and pride for their country. And so for us to be able to put on that jersey and to represent our country and to play for our country, it's again it's something that each person that gets that opportunity is super proud of. And for me specifically, like being from an American family but playing for Panama, it's maybe a little different because I don't have that generational thing where it goes back generations from that country. But I still feel like that's home for me, and I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love playing for Panama, and it's everything to me.
That's amazing, and you guys have a big, big year coming up. Obviously, Panama, I think, in my opinion, one of the best teams in CONCACAF. You guys won the playoffs this year, and are gonna expect to do really well. And you're obviously on the cups of maybe getting called up. So how are you thinking about the upcoming World Cup and that potential phone call that you might get in the next, I don't know, weeks or so?
Yeah, man. It's a little nerve wracking. Obviously, it's a dream. So if it happens, I'll be super excited. But yeah, I'll find out on Tuesday when our coach announces the list. So I'm super nervous, but also excited. And regardless of if I get called in or not, I'm still going to be supporting the team in any way, shape, or form. If it's being there and supporting the team as a player, or if it's being in the stands or at home watching on TV. Like I'm gonna be as supportive as possible. But yeah, we'll see on Tuesday. Hopefully I get the call. But yeah, fingers crossed. And I've done everything I feel like I can do to ensure my place. But at the end of the day, it's not really up to me. There's so many things that are out of your control in this industry. So you do what you can and hope for the best.
That's amazing, man. My best praying for you. Hopefully you get that call on Tuesday, and yeah, it should be an amazing World Cup for you guys. You guys are in a tough, tough group with the likes of England, Croatia, and Ghana. It's up there as a group of death, arguably, because it's like I'm thinking now, like who you can maybe say like, yeah, I don't know,
I mean,
like
I honestly I think it is the group of death. I think it's probably the most difficult group, but from everyone I've spoken to, I keep saying like, the first World Cup we qualified for was 2018, and I think we had Belgium, England, and Tunisia in our group, so another super tough group. And I think we were happy to be there and just to it was the first World Cup we've ever been to, so we were just excited to be there. But I think this year we have a squad that is capable of accomplishing something special, and I think that we're going to surprise people, and I think we're gonna come in there and we're not gonna make it easy for anyone. And I think people are gonna see that we came to play, we came to compete. We're not just there to be there and to enjoy being in the World Cup for 3 games. Like we want to make a run. So I think it'll be a good World Cup for us. But only time will tell, and we gotta do our work on the pitch, and hopefully the rest will follow.
yeah, I could see you guys being the dark horse because I think most people may say, "Oh, England, Croatia go through." Right, those are like powerhouse in international football. But I think you guys are probably going to be the dark horse, and I think you guys can make a case for a second or even a first spot there. So, fingers crossed, it's going to be an amazing World Cup. I'm actually seeing England Ghana here in Boston, so
Oh, nice.
I'm super excited about that game.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
If you could go back to your 17-year-old self, right, before the pro contract, before the international call up, like what advice would you give him?
Yeah, so if I could go back, what I would tell myself is believe in yourself and work hard, because at the end of the day, everyone who makes it to this level is talented. Everyone who's playing professionally has some level of talent that if they didn't have it, they wouldn't be here. But I think what separates the people that make it far and have long careers and have successful careers is that hard work and that determination to outwork your opponent and outwork your competition. And so I think if you're able to accomplish that, if you're able to do that, you can make a legit career, doing this. And also, I think something too that's super invaluable is just being a good person. Because even if you're not playing, like if you're a good enough person to be in the locker room that teams want to keep you around, you never know. You stick around long enough because teams like you enough to keep you as a locker room guy, and then you get a chance and you end up killing it, crushing it, and there you go. So I think those two things go hand in hand. Being a good person and working hard, I think, are probably what take you far in this industry. And it's something that if I could tell anybody, and including myself, a 17-year-old kid, I would probably say that.
That's amazing advice, man, and I appreciate the time here. You've given some good nuggets here for both our younger listeners that want to go follow your path and then become professional athletes as well, or those that just want to, love the sport and are casual fans and want to just see what it's like to play and live as a professional. So I appreciate the time there. Super excited for what's coming for you, and fingers crossed on that call on Tuesday.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see.
Yeah, actually, it's been now I think about it. You were married recently, right? Signed a professional contract to the refs recently, made your cap as well, and now you might get called to the World Cup. It's been a pretty good, last 18 months for you. Would you say?
Yeah, it's been great. Can't really complain. I get paid to play a sport I love, and yeah, I have an amazing wife, and so lots of things going well for me. Like I said, I can't complain, and hopefully, just keep continuing to get opportunities and prove that I deserve and belong to be here.
It's amazing. And then for those that want to follow your journey, where could they find you?
Yeah, you can. I mean, my Instagram is pretty simple. It's just John David Gunn. That's probably the best way to follow me. That's really the only social media I post actively on. And yeah, if that's something people are interested in, yeah, just give me a follow at John David Gunn on Instagram.
That's amazing, man. Thanks again for the time here. Safe travels this weekend, and then best of luck on Tuesday.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen and support this podcast. It is very much appreciated. Please follow the show if you don't already do so. The show can be found on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the rest of the other major platforms. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Much love. This show is produced by Yak Awok and original music by Scott Holmes.